Pip pip cheerio, score some goals, England, because we are going to be flying out the Venom FB4 in Sim, and this is one of the planes of all time, one of the flight models of all time, and one of the 3D models of all time, because you can see the tires just like spinning through the wings, because this is an old plane. This is one that sits at 9.0, and I think this is kind of a little bit over-tiered for what it is, because what it is, it's one of those 1950s gun jets that is not very fast, but turns pretty well at low speeds, and it's kind of just the ultimate de Havilland example of splicing together wood, spit, and some aluminum and making a plane that exists. And it's a really cool looking plane, which is why I like it, and it's one that not a lot of people are like aware of like existing, or at least existing in Sim, because I went through and looked at YouTube videos, right, and there's like Sim videos of this like 6 years ago. That's pretty much it. So one of the things I'm trying to do with my YouTube stuff is I'm trying to be more well-rounded, so to show some props, show some duels, show some slap tier stuff, and like kind of like bounce around, show some Vietnam, like show a bunch of other stuff that maybe you guys won't normally see, and kind of, you know, show you guys a little bit of how to play it and how I think it's best suited for the game. Now, the Venom FB4 is really for 9.0 is nothing special. You kind of top out your speed around 955. I think you can probably get up to 1,000 on a good day in a dive, which means closing the distance with a lot of the planes that you'll see at 9.0 is can be a problem. And it also means that, yes, you turn fight, but one of the things that I do and one of the things I advocate is, like, you kind of have to disguise your speed. You kind of have to, like, hide your power level from people and get them to, like, overshoot, get them into a position where they can't easily run away. Because Saber F2 runs away, MiG-17 runs away, MiG-15 runs away. Pretty much everything that is 9.0 has the ability to run away. Fortunately, when you're fighting like original 9.0s, it's reasonably well balanced, because your acceleration is more or less on par at low speeds, and it's not really until high speeds that things start pulling away from you. Now, the caveat to 9.0 is the Ariete exists. Sorry, it does. It's not changing anytime soon. If you're fighting Ariettes, congratulations, you are outclassed in this and any other 9.0, but I'll already cover it, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. Now, as far as this thing goes, it turns well, guns are good, the cockpit's good. The Hispanos over the years have been like really inconsistent. Right now, we're in a period of pretty damn good consistency. Sometimes they do have the habit of like slowly dismantling enemy planes as opposed to just making them explode, but usually if you get a solid burst into like a wing root, the fuselage, like just get like a solid burst, it's usually pretty much fine. We come behind this is a Shenyang F5. You can kind of tell because of the afterburners as it pops on. We get a nice burst from short range. We go to the Eric Hartman School of Aerial Marksmanship, where like if you're not confident in your shots, just get so close that you can't miss. It's foolproof. It's intelligent. It's smart. It's also like at this tier, I kind of advocate for getting close, or at least improving your shot up until like the very last second, until like they can't get away. Because like right now I'm closing the distance. Yeah, cool. I could probably start shooting sooner, but why? I'm looking at this guy and I know that he's distracted. I know that he's staring out the front of his cockpit, because if I was in this situation, the MiG-17 or MiG-17 variant, I'd be doing the same dang thing, because that thing is aiming. That thing is really hard. Like, I'm working on it. I like the plane. It's gonna be a while before I'm like really, like, I'm confident in my aim right now as far as compared to like average people, but I want to make that thing good, because being good and having like good aim in that plane would be really, really satisfying. We come in behind the Lim 5P, we kill him, and we get another guy, and we're gonna try to convince him to turn fight us, but we notice it like he goes far out, so instead of us like turning as hard as we can to like try to get directly behind him, we just kind of relax and we get back up to 850. And it looks like he's going to try to do some kind of looping, stalling trap kind of thing. And we're just going to keep our speed, follow him up, cut him off, keep inside of kind of his turn circle. And kind of at this point here, I don't think he can go up, and I don't think he can pull in. And we've maintained a little bit of speed, about 350. But as we're going down, we cut off the radius, and we're shortening the path. So even if he's faster than us, he turned in front of us, we're flying a shorter distance. And at this point, he's going to run away. And this is the right thing for him to do at this point. He's given up all of his positions. We're basically directly behind him. And we're going to try to love tap him. We're going to follow him for a little bit because as we dive, we're picking up our speed again, which is going to give us some safety margin and allow us to kind of set up for engaging other people. We get a critical. He flies back to base. Not really a big deal. But we gain our speed, and we just kind of loiter around the center of the map here. It's just like playing props. Tunisia, usually all of the action is over the river, over the town. So as long as we're kind of in this location of the map, we're probably going to find people. It's not that big of a deal. We have an A point up. Eventually, we will go to the A point. Contesting the A point is pretty much a very surefire way to find people. Same thing if you notice that ground battles are getting destroyed. Obviously, there's a player there. You can look at the map and go, aha, there's a player over there. We get behind this guy. He's trying to run away, but this is where we kind of carried our speed better. Like, yeah, he's faster than us on paper, but we carried our speed. We didn't really bleed our speed in our turns, that we can close the distance. And that's kind of what this plane is good at, or at least the way that you have to fly it. If you maintain your speed and not just completely like full stick back, monkey pull into someone, kind of look at your location, you can kind of work around the fact that this thing is, it's, I would say that it's really, really slow, but it's, I mean, it does around 950 or so. It's reasonable. It's nothing special. But we come down and we have an alpha jet. This guy is attacking the ground battles, and this guy's going to be attacking the ground battles the whole entire game, and I take him out more than a few times. But we're just going to pop in behind him, and we're going to get nice and close. Now, when these guys are bombing, I don't follow him down because I don't want to get hit with splash damage from bombs. This is something that happens. It's not uncommon. This guy's going up. And at this point, because he's getting slow, I feel pretty confident in shooting him. Missing a little bit, but I mean, we got 4 nose cannons. We got a lot of ammo. This plane is very, very easy to aim in comparison to some of the other things you'll find at this BR. The only thing I'd say that's probably like better at aiming is probably like the F2 Saber. The G91s are pretty nice too. The normal Sabers with the 50 cals are pretty nice. It's really, for me, until I get into like the MiGs with the permanent gyroscopic gun sight, the LA-15, those can be probably a lot harder for the average player to adapt to on average. So anyways, we are trailing this other guy here. I think this is a G91. I have to zoom in and actually look at the preview. Yeah, this is a G91R4 that's in front of us. We're just checking over our shoulder all of the time because obviously when we're taking our time to slot in behind this guy, someone could be slotting in behind us, because obviously if we can see him, other people can see us. We're a pretty distinctive plane. We got that kind of fork tail look. There's nothing else that really looks like this. Like G91, even without the yellow paint job, you can kind of confuse it with like a MiG or a Saber, depending on the angle. But we're just going to go to the Eric Hartman School of Gunnery, get as close as we can. We're going to shoot, and we're going to miss, but really, G91R4s are not that big of a threat from most players, because most people that buy them, they buy them because they have 4 AIM-9Bs at this tier, which is reasonably strong for a lot of new players in Sim, because you can shoot 9Bs at people that don't have flares and people that are not looking behind them most of the time. So if you do get like a nice rear aspect shot, like our approach to this guy coming up behind him with guns probably took like 30-40 seconds or whatever it happened to take. If we had a 9B on the plane, we could have taken care of him probably like 40 seconds sooner. So they're nice to have. It doesn't make the plane terribly hard to counter because it's still a G91. That means you can still outturn it. It means that it does have pretty decent low-end acceleration, has a little bit better top speed than you do. But at the end of the day, it's still just a G91, which means that overall performance-wise, it's basically on par with you. It might be better than you in some ways, but you're better than it in others. So it kind of weighs itself out. Same thing with like the CL-13 Mark V here. He's going to come in above us. We see those like wingtip contrails, so we know that he's pulling really hard, but we're going to pull down in front of him. We're going to try to close the distance. We'll try to shoot here, try to get a love tap, and now we're just going to kind of follow behind him. And as he turns like to the right, we're turning to the left. And instead of like trying to get directly behind him, we'll just try to fly almost in front of him. And right there, we'll shoot. We'll get a crit. And this guy's also going to be one of those guys that flies back to base. This is one of my things with like the Hispanos is they're better than they've ever been for the most part. I think maybe like 14 years ago when they were introduced, maybe they're like insanely cracked for a little bit. But it doesn't blow up the plane all the time. But if you do get like a solid burst, it's usually pretty good. We're going to follow this guy. Same thing as before, though. We're just really following him just to kind of see if he gets scared, see if maybe we gave him enough critical damage that we reduce his top speed enough. But he's going to be able to fly back to his base. We're going to still do like the long range shot, but we're cruising on the deck at 950, which means even if we go defensive against something, we'll have a good bit of energy to work with to hopefully have the other guy bleed their speed faster than we bleed our speed and allow us to like close the distance. That kind of like it's kind of like my thought process going into it. We kind of fast forward the game. We pick up the Alpha Jet again. He's doing the same thing as before. We're gonna get very close, shoot him, assess the damage, and we see that he's missing a tail. We have only 58 rounds, so we kind of go up, and I'm hoping that he's gonna like spin himself out so that I don't have to use any more ammo on him, because then it's a free kill. But if he doesn't spin out, if he doesn't get slow and kind of like ruin his plane, I might just come back in and shoot again just to be sure. And right now it looks like he has enough control that we'll just take our chances here. We get the wingtip, we get the spin there, and he's going to be out of here. We got 34 rounds left. This is still the first sortie. And at this point, we fly back to the base, resupply, come back in, more or less back towards the center of the map. And we're paying attention to like where the capture points are and kind of like where people are crashing. Like you can see the kill feed, and if you see that someone's died, you kind of look for like a plane that's on fire spinning out of control. You can kind of assume that's where the fight's going to be. Same thing with like cover calls, all the normal kind of situational awareness stuff that goes into SB. We pop in behind him MiG-15. He should be faster than us, but because he came out of a turn, because he didn't manage his speed, because he's flying straight, he's a relatively easy shot. Like we're sitting most of the game trying to sit near this like 950 range so that when people do fly in front of us, we're able to actually close the distance, because most guys in Sim are not as cognizant of maintaining their top speed. Most people are not familiar with the way that these lower tier jets play, which is kind of you sit near your top speed most of the time at low altitude, and then you don't really conserve your energy. I don't want to call it that. I don't want to kind of invoke the idea that I'm boom and zooming or anything. I am still turn fighting, but I'm trying to do it in a way that's more efficient, a way that kind of saves my speed, and then I'm selective of when I do want to get slow, because big iconic plane with very distinct silhouette means that if you're stalling, people are going to see you, and if you get a deflection shot on this thing, sometimes all the bullets will go in between the twin booms, but like if you look at this thing from the top, the wings are really big, really square. It's kind of impossible to miss if it's like actually super slow. Alpha Jet's trying to dogfight. We come in, we cut just a little bit to the inside. Nice clean kill there, and that's probably like kill number 7 or something. It's kill number 8, so no, not really a big deal. Most of the guys in this game are not going to put up that much of a fight until towards the end. And I think it's interesting to see kind of towards the end, because like you'll see like a learning process in action, because I think the enemy team starts to realize that the people that stick around a while realize that they shouldn't turn fight the FB4, or they shouldn't turn fight me in the FB4, because when I fight this thing, when I'm on the opposite end of it, I don't have a problem turn fighting it, but I also know that if I'm getting into a bad position, I can always kind of like nose down and get my distance before the guy that's behind me is able to get the shot. At the same time, the way that I play this is I'm trying to bait these guys into thinking they can get a shot, and then I'll like switch my pursuits to like lead pursuit. Like right here, I switched to lead very aggressively, and he can fly away, which is fine, which is what he should do. But if he stayed committed to that for too long, he'd definitely be dead. But even right here, these guns have a long enough range and they have enough ammo that we blow his wingtip off. That's not a typical shot, but those are the shots that I'm trying to take now, because like I think they look cool, and it also, the opportunity cost for me at that point is like it's not a lot. I'm feeling pretty confident at this point in the game that most of these guys are not dedicated, like very hardcore dedicated sim players. We come in behind Alpha Jet. Alpha Jet here is kind of like, he's doing what he's supposed to. He's kind of carrying the game for him as far as like doing all the ground attack objectives, and we go in, we seize the air points usually, which will spawn a ground attack objective, which keeps him doing a thing. This guy hasn't figured out how to put up a fight. Eventually, hopefully he does, but we get him on fire, he's gonna crash. Not really, nothing super special there. The only thing that's really kind of like to notice is like when I shoot someone and when I'm doing things, I'm always kind of like looking over my back left and back right shoulders, because that's obviously where people are going to come from. And if I know that an enemy plane is in front of me and going away from me or going head on to me, I kind of know where that's at. I don't really have to focus as much on that. We come in behind an F9F. It's a friendly, but we kind of like look at the friendly and then we follow like the line of sight through his nose, because usually sometimes your friendlies are looking at things too, especially if they start maneuvering on things. They don't tell you about it because you're not always in VC. You can kind of use that as like a context clue. But we maintain our speed and we go up because I noticed this guy and I'm like, well, he's probably going to maintain his speed. He's not going to just like, I'm not getting any turn fights where I'm just like holding the stick back and just winning automatically that way. Like I'm trying to play the plane in a way that really minimizes its weakness as far as top speed goes. We notice that this is the G91R4 from earlier, Tiger Stripes. He's going to try to kind of force us to overshoot. We're almost going to do that, but we just use our air brakes, cut our throttle, and just kind of plant ourselves behind him. And like at this distance, he can't really get away. He can't put his nose down and just accelerate. But he kind of does all of the wrong things where guys just kind of like flail. Like they'll just like more or less like pin the stick back into the left and do barrel rolls, and there's no thought process to it other than just move around as much as you can to not be in the guns. And for those guys, probably against the average player, it probably sometimes works. Like I do some janky stuff when I'm in a position that I'm like, I know I can't really get out of this, so I'll just start neg-G'ing, pause G'ing, rolling. Sometimes you just like flat spin and hope the guy flies past, and hopefully you get yourself out of the stall and just get into like a better position that you can at least like, you can force him to work for it a little bit harder than normal. Anyways, we're going to wander in behind this MiG-17. He's being chased by an F-86A5, but right now he's going for an attack on an F-9F, who that guy is completely tunnel visioned. Like I was in chat being like, hey dude, you got a guy behind you, you need to brake, you need to do this. And the A-Saber hasn't killed this guy, and because this guy's directly behind a friendly, I'm going to take him out so that hopefully save our friendly. So we get the kill. We notice that our speed is kind of low. We're sitting around 650 kph. We're just going to dump the nose, gain our speed, and start doing our left and right shoulder checks. Look at the map, kind of see where we're at on the map, because you want to look at the map to know what direction the airfield is, what direction all the other stuff is, because it's easy to get disoriented. It's also, for me, I click buttons all the time. Like I have like ADHD. I'm always clicking different things. Like I'm looking at TikToks on my phone probably while I'm doing this too. And sure enough, we do like the left-right shoulder check, and we see a bunch of wingtip vortices. And this is kind of, this is the part where the game's fun. This is like what I would like to see more of, because I like top-tier jets, but sometimes the tedium, the ADHD, the ding, 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 like all the blaring noises, missiles, the claustrophobia, sometimes that gets a little bit old. And then sometimes props also does get a little bit old too. So I'm mixing it up, and I pop in behind this G91. I'm going to shoot him down. And the reason I kind of picked him is because he's extending away from the furball. He knows where the furball is. He's going to try to go out, come back with more speed. And I only have 19 rounds, so kind of going for like the easiest possible shot and the most threatening target is going to give me an advantage, kind of help my team out. And at this point, I don't have any ammo, so I'm going to return to base, and I'm going to go on to the third sortie. The G91 that I just crit, he ends up following me back to the base and killing himself with the AA. Kind of chased all of these guys back to the base. I was still in the middle of like going back to resupply, and that, obviously if I had more ammo, I would have just killed him with more guns. But figured I'd show that because, I mean, it does look cool. We resupply, we kind of fly back towards the middle of the map, and we're just going to fly around and kind of assess the situation. I do look at the scoreboard all the time just to kind of get a feel for like how many players are on the enemy team versus how many are on my team, because as the team sizes fluctuate, it kind of affects like how much you can do. Like if there's a bunch of players on the enemy team and not a lot of players on yours, going slow into like a dogfight and getting slow means that you have a higher likelihood of getting third party, so you might be a little bit more cautious about how you maintain your speed and whatnot. And this is kind of the point where the enemy team starts learning to maybe be aware of me, or at least kind of like try to play to their speed advantage a lot better. And it's going to start, it's going to almost work out for them. I look behind me, that puff of smoke there, that tells me that is a missile. And this is, I'm pretty sure that G91 from earlier, although it might be a different G91. He comes in, he has like positional advantage, or at least he thinks that he does. And I kind of sit inside of him here, and I'm just trying to, like, I'm not trying to do like a spiral to like bait him up to get him slow like a normal trap. I'm just trying to be kind of inside of where he can point his nose, where he finds himself slow in front of me at a position where he can't like really accelerate for me. But he dumps his nose, and this is why I looked at the scoreboard. I don't have a lot of people on my team, and now I have like 4 people just kind of circling around me. This guy here that is turning with me, yes, I will outturn him eventually, but if I make a bad attack, if I like start going up and like stalling out to try to get him, any of the other guys that are kind of like flying straight lines coming back at me have the potential of being able to shoot me. So I'm not really trying to do like a vertical thing so far, at least as of yet. I do get my position, I do outrate him, and he's gonna go and he's gonna go up, and this is where the risk starts happening. Like right here, this is where your oh shit, I'm gonna get third-party sense should start to tingle. I get lucky here. I do miss most of the shots, but I do get the wingtip. The wingtip forces him to stall out. And at this point, we're gonna do the same thing as before. We dump the nose, and we're gonna try to gain as much speed as we can because more guys are gonna keep coming in, doing that kind of like left-right thing, where we just see like a MiG-15 or a G91 there. He just flies over us. Another one comes in. Do just kind of like a scissors just to stay evasive. We're not trying to like fully commit to it. We're just kind of letting these guys fly through me, and if they do make a mistake, if I do see something I think I can take advantage of, I will. But right now, I'm kind of in like survival mode. Not really like going out of my way. I can't run away from things, but if I can maintain enough speed, I can at least make it hard for them to kill me. MiG-15 comes in. This guy's holding his speed, so he's going to overshoot. I'm going to try to cut in and try to pitch up and try to get a shot there, but don't get it. And he's almost too far away, but we're going to try to shoot anyways. We get a hit here, and this is going to allow us to close the distance. And I think he's going to put it into the ground here. If he doesn't put it in the ground, we're going to slow down, not overshoot, shoot him again, miss all of our shots, even in the Eric Hartman position. Sometimes jet aiming is just like, it's an acquired skill. Doing it consistently throughout like an entire game, I haven't got to that point yet. I've gotten better at it. I'm definitely probably above average, but it's definitely not like the picturesque. Like it's not. I want my sim aim to be as good as like RB mouse aim. Like that's where I want to be. But I mean that's probably a lofty goal. It's probably something that's not gonna happen anytime soon. But I mean it's something to work towards. I like making shots look aesthetically pleasing. We get an Alpha Jet behind us. As long as we keep turning in the same direction, we're fine. We're going to start to relax the turn a little bit just to try to gain a little bit of speed. But as long as I see those wingtip vortices, I kind of have this like inclination to believe that he's pulling back as hard as he can. So we're not too worried about maintaining as much speed as usual. He gives us like a nice deflection here. We get one hit. And at this point, like he's in a bad position. You don't want to be slow in front of a Venom. You don't want to be slow in front of anything that has a bunch of 20 mils. So he's not going to be able to get away. I don't think his plane probably out-accelerates mine at this altitude either. I don't know. I don't know a lot about the Alpha Jet. I haven't flown that thing yet either. It might be really good, but I mean from what I've seen, it just kind of exists. And this guy's going to exist with the ground. He's going to make love to the ground after flat spinning. We get the wingtip, he dies, and we fly away again, and then we fly back. As you can see, like on the horizon there's the town. We're still more or less in the middle of the map, and guys are starting to remain fast as fuck around me. And that's a good thing, because it means that the players that are in this game are learning. It means that in this whole experience of getting fragged over and over again, they have put 2 and 2 together, and they've done something that resembles improvement. Now, I don't see this 9B until the last second. I try to pull out of the way, but the booster's gone. I didn't see it in time. I do eat the missile. I do have a lot of damage. In reality, that missile should have put me down like I put down your mother last night, but instead, we're still flying. I look at the damage model. We got like kind of like a checkerboard of wing root crits and orange damage, and I haven't really flown this plane super damaged a lot, so I don't really know how it responds. So when I'm in this kind of situation, I'm really kind of cognizant of the fact that a lot of the times when you have wing root crits, if you do get slow, sometimes planes try to turn themselves into a frisbee, and then you frisbee into the ground and then you die. But I'm going to try to wander my way back to the base and keep checking my 6. I'm going to still have to fight, because like this guy obviously saw that he got a crit. He's going to be hungry. He wants to probably get the kill. And we're not going to try to kill deny, but we are going to run away. and we're going to try to make it back to the base. We do hit our J out key because I want to see what the name is that pops up. I want to see who actually hit me and see whether or not that player is kind of like a threat. Like if it's a guy that's been doing like consistent gunnery throughout the whole entire game, if I kind of have like a feeling of like what he's doing, I'll probably react a little bit differently. But in this plane, in this situation, I don't have any actions I can take. I can just take reactions. And we get a G91R4. This guy's trying to maintain speed. We're going to try to use that against him. He goes out, and we get into like this is a scissoring position. We're scissoring me timbers. I'm going to try to get a counterattack. And if the plane wasn't damaged, I'd be a little bit more aggressive on it. But I'm trying to avoid that tendency to flat spin. I do have a good bit of ammo. And because he's trying to keep his speed in space, and he's not doing too good of a job of it, he's underestimating how far away I can shoot at him from. He kind of just flies in front of us, and we're getting what almost looks like a free kill. If the plane's not damaged in that position, I go up and shoot him, but I didn't follow that because the plane shuddered. I'm like, oh, it's going to be frisbee time any moment now. But he kind of gets into a position where I think that I don't really have a choice. I decide to take a chance on it, where it does put me into a spot where I am vulnerable, but at least his the amount of like threatening that he can do to me is kind of minimized. We're gonna try to take a shot here. We missed this one. We do have another plane around us, but he's playing fast as hell, and the fact that he's playing super fast instead of just going slow behind us and hosing us down it's kind of giving me a benefit. It means that I can kind of commit to this fight because that other guy is paranoid about committing to this one, which is good. It means that my turn fighting abilities kind of play to my favor through the whole entire game. We run out of ammo, but this guy's going to go into a flat spin, and he's going to hit the ground. That's going to be kind of the final kill. We do make it back to the base eventually. This guy here in the MiG, like, we can just see, like, he's just maintaining speed. He's going way too fast. He is extremely paranoid about committing, but we do make it back to the base. It's going to look like this. We're perfectly fine. These guys are traumatized, and I think that's a 14 kill game in the Venom FB4. Not every game's going to be like this. This is probably one of the few games that I had that was kind of populated throughout the whole entire thing, where things didn't kind of like evaporate, because that really, in honesty, is one of the things that happens a lot at this tier. Is you go in, you get too many kills, people don't like it, people don't like dying in War Thunder, who would have thought, and they leave the game, they go find a new one, they switch to BRs, and a lot of these games, most of the time they're kind of dead, which is unfortunate, because like this BR has a lot of potential. Like the G91, Sabre, MiG-17, MiG-15, all of like the legacy top tier jets, like back when we thought the game was really bad, but it was better than it is now, or at least I would say so. There's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of fun to be had there, but most sim players, I don't think, are playing the game mode just for the fun of it. I think the grinding does take up a large part of it. I think the ego of being the guy to get kills as opposed to the guy getting killed is a large part of it. That's why you see like a lot of Ariets on 9.0 down tier days, because that plane is brain dead easy to get a bunch of kills, and it's brain dead easy to be basically immune to the whole entire enemy team on those days. And I think that it's this kind of negative attitude towards competitive games, this idea that I'm going to fly the most meta thing for the BR for the day, that really ends up holding this tier back from being like genuinely fun. Like there's a lot of overlap in the 9.3, 9.0, 9.7 range, where some things on some days are absolutely broken, and when you're fighting broken planes, the game's not fun. And I think because you run into a lot of broken planes around here, a lot of people just don't give it a chance. And then the spawn cost, like 17,000 SL for one of these planes, is rather ridiculous. Anyways, there's the reward screen. I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you guys like that I'm going out, trying to fill in some of the sim library with, planes that you don't see quite as often, and kind of like an honest take on kind of how the game currently is.